What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Mirr, back with another guide for the first Descendant. Today we'll be covering everything you need to know regarding your reactor and external components, such as how to properly scale your skill's damage, possible main and substat roles, and how to farm specific gear to optimize your desired Descendant. As always, if you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing, and if you have any further questions, I'm live every day on Twitch. The link will be in the description. Now without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with reactors. Your reactor is the most important piece of gear when it comes to scaling your skill's base damage, so choosing the reactor that correlates to your Descendant's element is your first priority. There are 5 different elemental reactors: non-attribute, toxic, electric, chill, and lastly, fire. On top of an individual element, each reactor has an optimization condition that incentivizes you to equip certain weapons to boost the provided skill power even further. On rare reactors, the requirement is divided into weapon subclasses, such as snipers, machine guns, submachine guns, assault rifles, shotguns, hand cannons, and handgun, while legendary reactors incentivize specific ultimate weapons in order to fulfill their requirement. Below the optimization condition is the skill power boost ratio. These multiply your skill's damage by a set amount regardless of level or rarity. The first multiplier will always be the same element as the reactor, while the second will be one of 4 skill categories: fusion, singular, tech, and dimension. You can tell which category your Descendant skills fall under by the icons displayed here. Finally, let's talk about reactor substats. Each reactor can roll with 2 different substats that can be of 3 rarities: standard, rare, and legendary. The differences in value isn't crazy, so getting the 2 substats you want is more important than having 2 legendary substats that you don't. Now I'm going to list every possible substat that can roll on your reactor: skill cooldown, skill duration, skill cost, skill effect range, skill crit hit rate, skill crit hit damage, HP heal modifier, singular skill power boost, dimensional skill power boost, fusion skill power boost, tech skill power boost, non-attribute skill power boost, fire skill power boost, toxic skill power boost, chill skill power boost, electric skill power boost, and finally, additional skill attack when attacking certain factions. To close off this section, I'm going to give a few recommendations that I have from early to late game and what you should prioritize regarding your reactor. So early game, you're going to be switching out your reactor every 5 to 10 levels just to get a higher skill power. You want it to be on element, of course, but that's really all you need to worry about. And if you do get substats, look for utility ones like the skill cost, skill duration, skill cooldown. They'll do more for you than getting damage early on, because your damage is so low, you're not multiplying it by like an insane amount. So it's not really worth it to get like electric skill power on your substat early on. Now late game, once you unlock hard mode, I recommend getting at least 1 utility like cooldown, cost, duration, and then get 1 multiplier. So on my bunny, I have electric skill power and duration. So you kind of want to go off again your element and then get 1 utility. I wouldn't recommend getting any of the faction skill power boosts. They're all useless. Like, you don't build your character for one specific faction, you build it to be more general, and then you focus your weapons on specific factions and resistances and things like that. So those are my recommendations. That's it for the reactor section, so let's go ahead and get into external components. There are 4 different types of external components. You have your auxiliary, your sensor, your memory, and your processor. Each component has a unique set of substats associated with it. However, the main stat, which can be max shield, max HP, and defense, is possible to roll on all 4. The only time this doesn't apply is when the component is part of a set. Component sets drop from specific bosses and give bonuses for equipping multiple pieces, but the main stat is fixed to one of the 3 mentioned before. If you want to know where to farm every set, I'll be leaving a link in the description. Now that we've covered sets, let's go over each component's unique substats. Starting with the auxiliary, it can roll with max HP, down but not out duration, module drop rate increase, Kuiper shard drop rate increase, MP recovery out of combat, and fire resistance. Next up is the sensor, which can roll with max MP, shield recovery out of combat, chill resistance, MP recovery in combat, HP recovery modifier, consumable drop rate increase, and character XP gain increase. Next, we have the memory, which can roll with defense, shield recovery in combat, gold drop rate increase, firearm proficiency gain increase, electric resistance, MP recovery modifier. Is it Asive? Esive? Search? Ekiv? Asivi? Bro. The search radius when you scan. Finally, the processor can roll with max shield, shield recovery modifier, item acquisition distance increase, equipment drop rate increase, toxin resistance, and the scan display time. Hopefully with all this information, you now have a build path you want to follow, and before the how to farm section, I'll give a few early to late game recommendations. So starting off, it's similar to the reactor section where you want to switch out your gear every 5 to 10 levels, just focusing on your main stats. As far as main stats go, you want to get 2 max HP and 2 defense, because max shield is kind of bad right now. A lot of characters have higher base defense and HP, so your EHP is way higher if you spec into those instead of shield. Other than that, don't really worry about substats early on, like at all. Like you really don't have time to, because your gear will be getting switched out so often. Now late game, for 99% of characters, on your auxiliary you'll want max HP as your substat, for your sensor you want max MP, for your memory you'll want defense, and for your processor you want max shield. The only character that these don't apply to is Glay, but you still want max HP on your auxiliary and defense on your memory, but for the other two they don't do anything for Glay, so I would choose different substats instead. As far as your defense and HP thresholds you'll want to reach, for defense I recommend around 20,000 to 25,000 defense, and for HP I recommend around 7,000 to 9,000. There's a video I watched the other day by a creator named MirDxsu. I'll actually leave the video in the description that goes more into the numbers of defense, but you start getting diminishing returns around 40 to 50,000 in defense, so it's no point to even really go for that. Certain characters have things where they can regain their shield by doing something, so you don't always have to build this tanky, but getting to those numbers as a base will keep you alive. For my final recommendation, I think everyone should build a farming set. So what that consists of is getting hyper and mod drop rate on your auxiliary substats, consumable drop rate and character XP proficiency on your sensor, gold drop rate and firearm proficiency on your memory, and for your processor, get item acquisition range or distance and equipment drop rate. Building this will just help you farm things a little bit quicker. But that's pretty much it for me. Let's get into how to farm everything that you need. To focus farm your specific reactor, pull up the world map, and in the bottom right you'll see difficulty level rewards. On keyboard press F, and on controller it'll be R3. This menu will pop up showing every reactor that is currently farmable. It's important to note that these reactors are on a weekly rotation, so it's possible the reactor you need won't be farmable yet. For example, let's say I want a general round electric fusion reactor. As you can see, I can't currently farm one, so to check the next time I can, in the bottom right you can see all rewards, and as you can see in rotation B, which is next week, I can farm one in Kingston. So knowing when you can farm God or reactors for your Descendant is important to power scaling your account. If you can't farm a specific reactor you need this week, check if a reactor for another Descendant you may want to play in the future is. Aside from reactors, if you scroll to the bottom of the level rewards page, you can also farm for 2 different external components every week. However, this isn't that important since most of the time you'll be farming hard mode bosses for sets that synergize with your Descendant, but you can use this to create a farming set like I talked about in the previous section. And that brings the video to an end. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, like, do all that YouTube stuff. If you're curious what build I was using in this video with my bunny, link will be in the cards, or whatever people say. It'll be in the top right, the little eye thing. Anyways, I'm working on a updated guide for Glay, and I'm also going to be working on a MirDxsu build soon, so stay tuned for those. But that's it. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night or day. I'm out. Peace.